Today on the Diz List, we discuss the top 5 hidden gems at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything at Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 38, where we discuss the...
Do you want to start that one over again?
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 38, where we discuss the top 5 hidden gems at Walt Disney World, and we are always extremely professional, with no jokes whatsoever.
So this week, some interesting things happened that I think we should discuss.
A lot.
I'm going to start with like the not so serious stuff. So
I know what you were going to talk about with the serious stuff.
yeah. So the not so serious stuff, I would say, is the fact that Disney released some pretty hefty discounts for Disney Visa members.
Yeah, interesting.
And the dates are normally dates that would be pretty crowded.
Huh.
And you don't usually release discounts if sales are good.
For when?
Like middle of summer. Like when I'm going to be there in July.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say it's bizarre because I think there's the fatigue starting to set in of like last summer was like the revenge travel. I think they called it, right?
Yeah, that's such a funny term, but
I think that's what they call it, right?
They did.
Revenge travel.
You're exactly right.
So the revenge travel, and then now I think that some of it has to do with inflation, right? People are pinching their pennies a little bit more.
Yep.
And some of it has to do with the fact that everybody went the last couple of years in the revenge travel phase.
And not everybody goes every year like we do, honestly.
Yeah.
Or would like to, if possible.
Yeah. It tells me that, they're obviously recognizing that they're not selling and they need to lower the price. Because let's be honest, they don't make their money. They don't make a lot of their money through their hotels. They make a lot of their money by people being in the parks and buying stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's where the markup really is.
And I found out recently, and I think we've said this on the show, that I didn't realize that the most profitable arm of the Walt Disney Company is the parks.
Oh, I'm not shocked by that.
I mean, it seems obvious now, but I didn't know that officially until recently.
Yeah. Let's think about it like this, right? If I have a business that sells a product, so like a brick and mortar storefront, and I'm selling books or I'm selling CDs or who sells CDs anymore? Jeez. Selling vinyl.
You go out of business pretty quick.
Yeah. But I'm selling a product, right? And in that scenario, people come in to my store, browse, maybe buy something, maybe don't, and I still have to pay employees. At Disney, you pay for the ability to go in and browse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you pay just to get in the gate.
You're already getting their money right away.
And then you go into the store, and now even if you don't buy anything, you've already paid for some of that money, right? You paid some of that upfront fee, which brings me to the more serious thing,
right?
Which is the fact that it is their most profitable arm of the company.
Yeah.
And they are currently in a contract dispute that is over pennies.
Right.
That I just want to say that both of us over here stand with the cast members because it's ridiculous that they are squabbling over the outlay of the money.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I don't know how much there was a difference in wage changes between when they began people paying for Genie Plus.
I don't think there was.
But I mean, that's like pure profit.
Right. And
I mean, maybe they're paying people. What would be the takeaway costs? The programmers that go in and maintain that? That would be it.
They can't possibly spend a lot on those guys. You've been on Disney IT.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I
So
know.
they can't possibly spend a lot on them. Here's what I would say is that my understanding of the dispute is that Disney wants to phase in the raise. They're willing to go to the number that the cast members are requesting.
That's good.
But they don't want to do it in 1 year. And to that, I say, I get what you're saying, but you aren't the ones living in Orlando, which is one of 3 Florida cities within driving distance of the parks that are on the top 5 list of most expensive or cities that have gone up like the cost of living has gone up the most
Yeah.
in those 3 cities, or they're on the top 5, but three of the top 5 are within driving distance of Disney World.
Wow.
It's. I was talking to someone. They said it's $1,800 for a 1-bedroom apartment in Orlando on average. $1,800.
My gosh.
There are cast members living in their car.
That's crazy.
You wouldn't know that, right? Because they put on that smile. They make it magical for you. And Disney wants to phase in the raise is basically what it is.
Now, my family lives about 40 minutes north of the park. They built a modest house maybe 25 years ago or so. And all of these, like, literally $1 million homes have sprouted up all around them.
Yeah.
Which has increased their property value, which is good for them. But their quiet little town that they moved to is now, like, on the border of being considered a city. Isn't that crazy?
And, it's, urban sprawl happens.
Yeah.
I get that. But the inflation that those cast members are dealing with to live near their job is unthinkable, right? I mean,
right.
Somebody said in an online discussion, inflation's everywhere. They got to quit complaining.
Well,
and I was
there's
like,
so many factors.
I said, inflation is everywhere. Yes, I agree. But it is not at the level that it's at in Orlando.
Right. And there's affordable housing in Orlando, but a lot of it now has kind of pushed out to that outer, I don't want to say outer rim because it sounds like Star Wars, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's been pushed out further, but then
Tatooine.
Right. But then that builds in the cost of transportation, gas, things like that.
Exactly.
Which still brings that dollar amount up for them.
Right. So my understanding of the dispute is the timing of the money. I could be wrong, and I don't really care if I'm wrong because the reality is this. Pay those people. They are the ones that make it magical.
Oh, definitely.
But I also want to now move to something maybe a little bit more exciting. So I'm doing like the teacher strategy. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I know exactly.
The happy, bad, happy.
Uh-huh.
It's like when you start an email.
Yeah.
Johnny did this today at school. It was so great. By the way, he's failing. I really enjoy teaching your son. Right? So that's the strategy I'm using so people get still have fun in the top half of the show. So Johnny's good deed that he did in class today was announced that as of the release of this, actually, Tron will be open, but it'll be a soft preview. I don't know
What's
what
the difference?
The difference is it's open for Lightning Lane, like individual Lightning Lane access
that you can purchase
and virtual queue.
Okay, so
which
that is
to my
Guardians
knowledge,
of
exactly
the
what they're
Galaxy?
which is my knowledge exactly what they're going to do. I think the only thing is you have to be staying on property. I don't even know. I just know it's for some reason no longer going to open on the 4th or the 3rd, whatever. It's opening on the 20th. So as of the release of this podcast, it will have been open for a couple days.
I never think of a soft opening for anything that's a ride. Like I could see a soft opening for a restaurant. People kind of walk by and go in. If you're talking like a multi-million-dollar ride, I don't think there's anything soft about it.
Well, especially since they've literally been doing a quote-unquote soft opening for the last month.
Yeah, and it's been everywhere
with
online.
Like cast members, and they had the preview for the media types, which, by the way...
Media types, that's a good term.
The media that got to ride on those previews, riding alone with just them and their friends, that was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I want that so badly. That would be so cool. Just be like, okay, we're going to get 2 of us sitting up front.
Well, I have a plan, actually.
Okay.
I have a plan for this.
Okay, good.
So everyone that's listening is going to share with one person. And then they share with 2 people. And they share with 2 people.
Sounds
and
like a
4
pyramid
people.
scheme.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Well, anyway.
No, it's exponential growth. I'm a math teacher.
There you go.
Teacher. It's exponential growth.
So then the exponential growth helps us become a media type. And then we get to go.
I mean,
help us out, listeners. We want to be media types. I love that term. Well, I'm not making fun of you. Like that's a great term.
I don't know what the heck you call them. Like
no, I like it.
So yeah, the media preview.
Well, because it fits everybody. It fits like an NBC Channel 8,
right?
And somebody who has their own YouTube station. They're equally valid,
right? Because there were people there that are very popular on Instagram, and then there were people who were very popular on YouTube, and then there are people who are very popular. Like in the actual media, like
Orlando Sentinel.
Yeah, the
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think that that's another interesting thing is that they've decided to open this early. And I think it's a sign of them recognizing that, like, why do we have this artificial, like, we have to do it on this date. I think they wanted to do it on that date because it was like signifying the end of the 50th, right? Because the 50th ends on the at the end of the month.
Okay.
Is when the 50th, the 18-month long 50th anniversary ends. But now I do think it's good that they're doing that. I'm really excited to ride it. I'm a little worried because of the way that this ride snaps you in. I'm a little worried about my calves are not small. Years of, playing soccer and stuff
I don't
like that.
think
Like
you
that.
would be on this. I feel like you would be at the high end, but I don't think you'd be uncomfortable. I mean, I've seen what they're like.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be fine.
Right. I don't think I'm I shouldn't not fit.
No, I'm
that
thinking
big,
but
like
taller people. I'll use two extreme examples for people to understand. An NBA player might have a hard time because of the way it's set up, or an NFL running back who's built with gigantic legs.
Yeah.
Like that may be more difficult.
I just wish they would release like a thing that says, if your calf circumference is this, you may want to prepare for riding in the back. So there's not that moment of shame.
Yeah.
Because it's not about how big you are in the belly. It's about how big you are in your calf, which is an odd place to have to worry about, right? I've never been like, I don't know if I'm going to fit in that ride because of my calves. I have to buy special socks sometimes because they don't go up over my calf because I have big calves, but not fat calves. So it's going to be hard. It's not like the thing's going to lock in. So I'm a little worried about that. But anyway, enough about my calves. This week, the halftime show is brought to you by Podcast Mics for Magic. So we will tell you all about Podcast Mics for Magic in just a moment. So a couple of our friends over on Instagram, Johnny J and Hannah. So Johnny is the host of the DMSW podcast, and Hannah is the host of the Learning Disney podcast. So they started another Instagram called Podcast Mics for Magic. And Podcast Mics for Magic is on a mission to raise funds for the Children's Hospital of Orange County, or CHOC. It's a pediatric healthcare system based in Orange County, California, and it's committed to being a leading destination for children's health by providing exceptional and innovative care. CHOC's growing community includes 2 state-of-the-art hospitals in Orange and Mission Viejo, and a regional network of primary and specialty care clinics serving children and families in 4 counties. CHOC offers several clinical programs of excellence, providing the highest levels of care for the most serious pediatric illnesses and injuries, physical and mental. CHOC's research and innovative institutes are focused on translating real patient needs into real-world treatments so every child can live the healthiest and happiest life possible. So what Podcast Mics for Magic has been doing is trying to raise $50,000. Now, we've got some people who have done some amazing things already. They had one lady who every $50 that was donated, she took a lap on Living with the Land.
Oh, cool.
Which is great if you're local or if you're going to be in the parks. We're not going to be in the parks for, in the next coming months anyway, for us to be able to do that. Well, you will be over in Disneyland.
Yeah.
But we're looking for they were looking for ways to raise money, and we wanted to feature Podcast Mics for Magic here on the show. So they are today's sponsor of the halftime show. They are fabulous people. They really and truly are. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to their sites. So to the Podcast Mics for Magic, to Johnny J and Hannah's Instagram page as well. And I'm also going to put a link there for the donation page that they have set up. If you can, nothing is too small, right? No amount is too small. They definitely are raising money for a great cause. So that's Podcast Mics for Magic, and they're going to be raising money for CHOC, the Children's Hospital of Orange County.
Very cool.
Very cool. I'm excited that we're even remotely associated with them.
Yeah, and we've been talking about them for a couple weeks, and it's nice that they can be kind of featured formally and give the organization the time it deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. No matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. When you want to take your conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free, and there's no catch. When we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we unlocked a door to a world where we could celebrate our passion, and we could create a community around what we love. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Welcome back to the Diz List. Today, what we're going to do is rank the top 5 hidden gems in Walt Disney World.
Well, I could only think of one, and it's you enter the queue for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You get in the indoor part, and you turn, and there's the hidden gems.
That is the lamest dad joke you have ever told.
Well, they're also.
I had no idea where you were going with that, and I was like, "What is?" And then it hit me that I had fallen for the lamest dad joke of all time. Oh my goodness, that was bad.
I'm a dad.
You
Therefore,
are.
I dad joke.
Yeah. So this was a hard list.
Yeah, I agree.
Not because it was hard to come up with 5 of them, but it was hard to, kind of like pare down my 25 hidden gems.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you go frequently, or when I say frequently, when you go yearly, you start to find things that you are happy other people don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a sizable list of things, but I've tried my best to put my top 5.
Yeah, it wasn't easy to really do a 1 through 5 because of like what's the priority.
Right.
So what I had to do for mine is I got a little input from my family, and they sort of weighed in, and that helped with reordering my list a little bit.
Yeah, I also got some input, and that did not help me.
Oh, mine
was
did.
like
they had a hard number 1.
Yeah, because it was like 100%. Like the stuff they said was like, I forgot about that. That's got to go on my list now. But where do I put it?
Right.
So, yeah, I love them, but they were no help on this one. You want to go ahead and start off?
My number 5 is kind of it's a 2-parter. So it's definitely a hidden gem because people don't always know it's there. But there's also something that I enjoy doing when we go and ride on this ride, and that is the Carousel of Progress. So the Carousel of Progress, and I know people know about it, but it's kind of hidden back in that corner.
If you didn't know it was there, I mean, if you weren't seeking it out, I can totally see how you would not even know that that's
you would walk right by it. Number 1, it's great air conditioning in there. Number 2, it's a lot of fun if you want it to be fun. And I'll get to kind of my point here. And when you ride the Carousel of Progress, it's a ride, but not really a ride. It's sort of like a show in the round where you get in and you sit in this auditorium and you rotate around and you watch different parts of a show that's like a history of, progress and development.
Progression, yeah.
Right. So there's 1 of 2 ways I like to play when I go to this ride. Number 1, and Nick has experienced this, you go all out and you clap and you sing along to the theme song and get really obnoxious, and it's actually kind of fun.
Everybody sings.
Yes.
When there's a leader in there,
Yep.
Everyone sings.
Yep. And I clap and I'm loud and I get not to be a jerk, truly. Sometimes I do it to be a jerk, but not at Disney. I will clap and I want everyone to sing along. I do the same thing in Country Bear too.
Yeah.
So you sing There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow and you're clapping your hands and you get everybody. And then what happens most of the time, and I've done it before where nobody participated, most of the time more people will catch on and go, okay, this is fun. Let's do this.
Yeah.
We're on vacation. We're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that maybe on a rare occasion I'll do this, maybe one
I know
or
where
two
you're going
times,
with this one, yeah.
is if I'm really tired, I will take a short nap in there.
I mean, it's a pretty good power nap. It's about the length of a good power nap.
Yeah, I've taken a nap there, and then I napped in back in Hollywood Studios when they had the Little Mermaid show. I'm not saying it was bad because I don't know. I didn't see it because I started off and then it was.
So you don't nap in Bug's Life?
No.
Could you imagine napping and getting woken up by the ants,
spiders or the ants crawling across your back? Yeah. So my number 5 is Carousel of Progress for multiple reasons. It's a hidden gem. It's a lot of fun. You can make it as fun as you want to make it. I highly recommend you clap and sing along and make it fun for everybody around you who's on vacation. Or if you can sleep through clapping and singing, take a seat in the back and maybe get a quick power nap in the AC. So number 5, napping / Carousel of Progress.
I agree with you, but it's not on my list. I do agree it's a hidden gem.
I don't know how many we're going to overlap on.
I don't know that we will overlap a lot. I suspect there's one, but this next one is actually very near one of the shows we just mentioned.
Oh.
We talked about Bug's Life. My number 5 hidden gem are the Tree of Life trails. Everybody goes to Gorilla Falls. Everybody goes to the Jungle Trek. A lot of people sleep on the trails by the Tree of Life.
I've only done part of it. I've only done the back end, similar to where the exit of Bug's Life is. We've gone in and done a little bit. Now, where does that start and end? Can you kind of describe that?
It's kind of like intertwining, right? So there's all sorts of different... So it's hard to describe start and end, because are there really starts and ends to those trails? Aren't they kind of like...
Let me ask you this then. Does it connect over where Starbucks, there's like a little pizza stand and the bridge that goes over to Africa? Does it go there?
I believe so.
Okay, because it looks like there's a trail there, and I've never gone down. I think there's like a monkey enclosure there too.
Now you've got me second guessing myself, like you did a couple weeks ago.
Well, I'm just curious if it connects. Like, I know that there's trails, and you just described that they're all over the place.
I honestly just like getting lost back there. Not lost literally, but like you can go into those trails, and there's not. So we've complained before about the trails and how sometimes people overstay their welcome.
Yeah.
Like this last time, people were overstaying.
Well, the tigers drives me nuts.
Yep. Or the gorillas.
Yeah, that's true too.
So those trails over there don't tend to have as many people. Plus, you get to really pick out the little intricacies of the Tree of Life. So the Tree of Life trails for me are nice, like, it's a kind of a respite away from the crowd, usually.
Mm-hmm.
Not always, but usually. You can escape some of the crowd. I just like it over there. It's a nice little spot that offers some amazing views, up close looks of the Tree of Life, obviously. They're Tree of Life trails.
Yeah.
And they're not as crowded. Now, they don't have the big, huge draw of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and look at the bats, or I'm going to go look at the gorillas, or I'm going to go see the tigers. They don't have that. I get it. But it's still a nice, relaxing walk. And it's easy to forget that you're in an amusement park when you're there. So number 5 for me is the trails at the Tree of Life.
That's cool. Now, number 4, we tried to do many times, and it was closed for a very long time during COVID, and it didn't actually open until recently. And again, this one is going to be ironic, given if you know what I look like in real life, I am bald. It is the barbershop. I think the barbershop is a really cool hidden gem. When you walk into the Magic Kingdom and you go under kind of the overpass or the railroad, you go under the railroad there and you walk out into the Main Street area. On the left-hand side, in the back corner there is a little barbershop where you can go in, get a haircut, and we were going to try to bring our son in there to get a haircut at one point, and it was closed for a long, long time. But it is reopened, I think, maybe about a year ago it's been open.
Yeah,
but,
I want to say it was last summer sometime.
Now, have you ever taken your son or daughter there?
I have not. I wonder if they do beard trims.
That'd be kind of cool. I bet you they do.
I didn't even think of this, to be perfectly honest with you. But it is. Like, you wouldn't think. I mean, I'm sure you're not thinking still, like, oh, I'm going to go get a haircut at Disney.
Right.
But if your family is a big Disney family, like, how cool would it be for your child's first haircut to happen there? That would be really cool.
Yeah.
You know, that your child's first haircut happened at Disney. That would be pretty cool.
And I don't know if a lot of people know it's even there. So when I was trying to think of, what's hidden, what people overlook or walk by, and for what reasons, that's kind of how I looked at making most of this list, not all of it. But again, Nick and I are both, bald guys, but we have kids with hair, so that's
For
part,
now.
Well, and part of the trip is not just what we want to do, is what what our kids like to do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for everybody. So yeah, number 4 is the barbershop in the Magic Kingdom. What do you have for 4?
My number 4 is a shopping destination that I never would have thought I'd put on this list until the last trip. Number 4 for me is the Fantasia Market at Contemporary. So Fantasia Market is the one that's kind of like almost looks like it reminds me of the old school in the malls where they would have the calendar shop would pop up, right? You're just like walking through this thing.
Right, because there's no roof. The walls are kind of minimal.
Right. It's like a kiosk in a mall that reminds me of like the old calendar shop.
That is a nice place.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because if you are into pin trading, you will find some of the most random, completely amazing pins in there that are like limited edition. That I mean, there were stuff in there that I didn't see in the pin stores in Disney Springs or over at Epcot, the one that's by Spaceship Earth there,
right.
the pin trading store there.
Yep.
I saw pins there that I had never seen. I can remember thinking, how did I not know this was here? And I posted a reel about it, and a couple people commented about, yeah, that's a great place to go get pins. I never would have known it. It's a really cool little spot that if you're into pin trading, and maybe you don't want to go all the way over to Disney Springs, or maybe you don't have, a park reservation over at Epcot that day, to go to the pin trading store there. I forget what the name of that store is. Is it just Pin Traders? I think it's just Pin Traders.
I think it is. It sounds right.
Either way, if you can't get to one of those stores and you're staying anywhere near a monorail resort, hop on the monorail, go into Fantasia Market. You're gonna find some really interesting pins there, and that's not all they sell that's interesting in there, but it's the thing that drew me in. They do have some nice like contemporary specific stuff there. As a DVC member, I seem to remember them having almost every DVC resort's pin there, which is odd because usually you only find that specific resort at the resort or at the pin trading place over in Disney Springs, the open air one, that the open air pin trading store over in Disney Springs. You know what
the one that's closer to Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah, the one like there's like the Star Wars store there too. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So over there, they have them, but like I had never seen it at a resort where they had other resorts pins. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so number 4 for me is Fantasia Market over at the Contemporary.
Well, I mean, I really like that choice, and I think if we think about that and we pull back one step further, pin trading in general is such a great hidden gem. I mean, yes, specifically that store, 100%, I agree with you. But I mean, if people don't know pin trading exists, it's a hidden gem that you don't know about until you learn what to do.
I would concur.
Yeah. I mean, that's a double too. You know, like the napping or singing along in Carousel of Progress. There's multiple layers to these onions, I think.
Yeah. I mean, pin trading there are entire video series on them that you could watch, but they're pretty cool.
I literally have one in my hand right now as you said that one. Yeah. I'm holding a Disney pin.
Yeah. That's funny.
My number 3 is one that I don't get to do too often because my family, they're not huge fans of this one. I am. And it's one that I did when I was really little in the Magic Kingdom. Really enjoyed it. And this is one of those ones where I don't know if it's just nostalgia for me or it really is cool and fun and a hidden gem. Now, what I'm talking about is Tom Sawyer Island in the Magic Kingdom, which I'm not sure you've done.
I have not done.
Okay, and that's great because that sets up what I'm about to say. It's not easy to get to.
Which is why I haven't done it.
Exactly, and that's also why I think it's such a great hidden gem. Now, it's not... Some people would argue, my family would argue, it's not really a gem, for their reasons. But I mean, I like it for a couple different reasons. One being, obviously, the nostalgia factor. But since it's difficult to get over there, it's not always mega crowded over there. And it's
isn't
almost
isn't there a restaurant over there?
there is, and it's open very infrequently. And the last time I ate there was probably 1984.
Jeez, that's
Yes.
a long time ago.
And I ate there with there's photos of me with my aunt, and like she's pretending to paint the fence
fence.
there, the Tom Sawyer fence.
Whitewash the fence.
Whitewash the fence. That's it. And you kind of walk around. There's a little trail around the outside. There's that barrel bridge that you can see when you're waiting in
Yeah.
the queue for Haunted Mansion. That's a lot of fun to do. The kids like to jump across because the barrels float in the water. But then there's a tunnel. So it's almost like a
Yeesh.
cave.
That's claustrophobic.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of claustrophobic in there, but I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I remember as a kid going in there and sprinting full speed through there.
I could see young Rob doing that.
And then-
100%.
And there's that, so you can kind of walk around. There's little trails, and I know that there's. I have not experienced this, but this is something I've heard as a rumor that every day a cast member hides a paintbrush somewhere on the island. And if you find the paintbrush, again, rumor, if you find the paintbrush and you give it to the cast member, they award you with well, it's not a fast pass anymore, but that's what it was then. So again, not reporting fact.
I've never heard that story
Okay.
before.
Feel free to look it up while I finish up if you want to. So then there's one other little piece, and it's more to the north end, which kind of borders over where Big Thunder Mountain is. And it's like an old fort where you can kind of climb up in the top, and it's almost like, this military fort where it looks like you can shoot out at everybody. And I'll tell you, if you're there on a 90-degree day, which I have, and gone over to Tom Sawyer Island, if you go up in the top of this fort, the temperature goes up to like 120. It's so hot up in there. But I don't know. What'd you find?
So I went to Plan Disney.
Sure.
Looked it up.
Yeah.
And somebody asked in 2022 whether or not it would be returning because it had gone away.
Oh, it was a thing.
It was a thing.
Oh, okay.
And it went away in 2013 and returned briefly in 2020.
Ah.
And in 2020, what they received was a souvenir certificate instead of a fast pass because,
Oh.
fast pass cost Disney a lot of money. So instead, they gave them a certificate.
You're funny.
And
We did talk about that at the opening of the show.
yeah, then it went away again. So yeah, that's the only one. And then they did say there
So
are
it was
still
a thing. That's good.
Yeah, there are other scavenger hunt type things still to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one unfortunately is gone. It returned for 2020. My guess is it returned like briefly, and then March, like Armageddon hit
Sure.
because 2020 being what it was.
So for your summer trip, Nick, head over to Tom Sawyer. Tell me what you think. I mean, I could see you truly going either way. I could see you going, "This is cool. There's not a lot of people. It's a fun little different thing." Or I could see you saying, "That was stupid."
So how late do the boats run?
I don't know, because I don't know if they have lights on Tom Sawyer Island. Maybe they do.
I'm just thinking about how cool it would be to be on Tom Sawyer Island during fireworks.
Oh.
But I'm guessing that since I've never seen anybody post anything about being on Tom Sawyer Island during fireworks, that it is not open.
Yeah.
But that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I will take you up on it and go over there.
Try it. I mean, you're a guy that likes to collect them all, and part of collecting them all is going to Tom Sawyer Island.
You are correct.
Yeah.
You are
So
correct.
you got to check that one off on your list.
All right. Yeah. I will try.
I think you'll like it. I think you will come back and go, "Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was something different to do, and
I mean,
a hidden gem."
I'm sure that it is a hidden gem. If I have time, I will, because it is difficult to get over there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll have to check it out. So my number 3 is actually another. Apparently, I like to spend money. My number 3 is another shopping.
You do and you don't.
Yeah, my number 3 is another shopping experience that I don't know how hidden it is, honestly, but I'm still putting it on this list because for me, it seems like a hidden gem. I know lots of people know about it, but Mitsukoshi.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can count that.
I mean,
there's no giant sign. It's just a building with 2 doors in the front. I think that's a perfect one.
I find something in there every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Every trip.
You and I had a blast in there last time, walking around looking at everything.
Yeah, whether it's coming home with a Buddha board or coming home with a what are those Nekos?
Maneki Neko cat.
Maneki Nekos.
Yeah, it's right here on our studio desk.
And then there's also like I mean, I have some really nice chopsticks from there. Like
Great.
that's where I got them, was there. They have some really cool gifts that are unique but don't scream Disney. So like the chopsticks I have, every time I use them, I think of the fact that I got them at Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't cost Disney prices. They cost like what good chopsticks cost. And they just remind me of the trip, but they don't scream Disney. Like they're not Disney themed.
Right.
I also like that store because you can find some crazy snacks. Like there's always those crazy snacks.
Oh, those wasabi peas they have there.
And the chips that are like salted shrimp flavor.
Yeah.
Which I don't recommend those, but there's some crazy stuff in there. They've got the art in there is amazing.
See, that's on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
So I'll bring that up now too.
Yeah.
There's an art gallery that's not directly connected, but if you go to the back of the store and kind of exit, and then there's another door right after, there's a little art gallery in there that's always fun to go to. We're big art people, so we love doing that too. So
I kind of include that in that whole area. I think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a good way to put it.
So that's why I don't have a problem saying that.
Call it the Japan pavilions.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, but the Mitsukoshi is, and there are times when it's packed. I will say that. So it's obviously not too hidden, but air conditioning, and you can spend an hour in there and not see everything.
Yeah.
If you're into pop culture stuff, like especially like Asian pop culture stuff, it is a cool store to go into.
They had Pokemon stuff,
They've
right?
got Pokemon stuff. They've got Mario stuff. They've got Hello Kitty. They've got stuff that's not Disney IP.
Well, it's weird too because across the street they're going to have Super Mario World, and they have Mario stuff there. But I think, if I know this correctly, that they can have whatever they want in their store, and I don't think it'll be a conflict of interest with
I don't know.
Mario being sold at Disney, Mario being sold at Universal.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but I will tell you that it is a place that I never skip. I always go in that shop. You know, there are stores in Epcot that I don't go into every time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't need to go and look at Italian leather every single time I'm in Epcot. I don't need to go into Norway and look at. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but the double H guy.
Helly Hansen.
There we go, Helly Hansen.
I actually like that store. I go in that store.
I do, but
every time.
But I'm never going to buy anything in there. That's the problem.
I think we did once, or my wife did.
Because it's marked up way above what Helly Hansen stuff is. I mean, Helly Hansen stuff's expensive anyway.
Yeah, it's good
but
quality.
Like it's really expensive at Disney.
Uh-huh.
You know, so there are stores that I skip, but that one, Mitsukoshi, is one that I feel like I can't miss, and I don't think it's as popular as, say, like going into the German shops. You know, like going and looking at the Christmas ornaments in the.
We do that every time too.
But everybody's in there, right? It's shoulder to shoulder sometimes looking at those stupid pickle ornaments.
Yeah, that's true.
But so number 3 for me is Mitsukoshi in the Japan Pavilion.
Really good one. Now, number 2 has been, it's a hidden gem, but it's extremely rare because this particular park is not open very late. So certain times of the year with daylight savings time, which I think is going away, ?
Who knows? It's past one branch of the government.
Okay. So my number 2 hidden gem is Pandora at night. It is a gem and a half. It is beautiful. So if you're familiar with what Pandora looks like and the colors of Pandora, or even kind of picture, we talked about this a lot last week, is the Navi River Journey.
Yeah.
Imagine Navi River Journey coming to life outdoors in all of those little gardens, and the sidewalk lights up. It's beautiful there. And
I have never experienced it because it is so hard to do in the summer. Now, if I were in a winter trip, so I would bet it's much easier, like on your Christmas trip, I bet you it was much easier to see it. But like,
we didn't see it then. It was right after it opened. So it was years ago. It was maybe like 2016.
Back when they were still open late.
That was it.
Yeah.
It was back when it was open late, and we had that opportunity to see it. Now in Epcot, they also have the light up concrete, and it's fiber optics, I believe, in the concrete. Mm-hmm. And they do a similar thing there. I'm not sure exactly the technology, but the concrete glows. All of the, we'll call it, I'm using air quotes, foliage, all glows through there. The sounds are incredible. It's kind of like the alien versions of crickets and frogs. Mm-hmm. It's really, really cool through there at night.
So I'm going to give people a hack that I have not tried, but I'm thinking about trying this summer. Most people know that when you go and get in line for a ride before the park closes, they're going to let you through. You're going to be able to ride the ride unless it goes down. So a hack that I know other people have used in the past is don't rope drop Flight of Passage, but rather go at the end of the night. And yes, you may wait a long time. However, when you come out, it's dark, and the only people left in the park are the people who are on Flight of Passage. So you get to walk through Pandora at night in the dark. This very fact that part of the park is so amazing is why I wish they had a table service restaurant where Satuli Canteen is.
Or there's room next to it, actually.
And it stayed open for later dinners. And that was the only thing that was open was that. And so that people could experience walking to and from their reservation in, the lit up Pandora.
Yep.
I think that would be amazing. The same, and I don't know if it's on your list or honorable mention, but I do want to point out Disney parks at night are amazing. The same can be said for Toy Story Land at night. I've never done Galaxy's Edge at night. I imagine it's probably nice too.
I think we did.
But the fact that you could get in line, for instance, for Slinky Dog Dash late in the day, and then the lights would be on by the time you got through and came off. I think that'd be cool because that is a nice area. Or even if you got in line for like Rise, and waited one out there, because then you could walk through both Galaxy's Edge and, or you could get a late reservation over at Oga's. But Hollywood Studios is another one that's I think is a hidden gem for at night. But
Yes.
I agree with you. Pandora at night is beautiful.
Yeah.
I unfortunately have not seen it in person, but every picture and video I see is absolutely amazing.
You will put that one on your
I mean, honestly,
your to-do
I'm
list.
considering doing exactly what I said. Is like, let's ride that at night, and then
Or whatever. You get on early and you ride it twice.
it doesn't. Yeah,
Who doesn't want to ride that twice?
last year, my daughter got off that ride for her first time because she was finally tall enough, and she was so nervous. She gets really nervous before something. And then once it happens, she's like, okay, that was cool.
Let's do it again.
We get off. She's like, can we do that again? And I was like,
That sounds like her.
no, we cannot do that again because it's now, we just rope dropped it and it was 30 minutes. Now it's an hour and a half. So no, not happening.
No.
So that's a good one. Now, I think that my number 2 is going to be on your list.
Well, yeah, I think it is. We may have to, well, then we can tag team with your 2.
Right,
and
because
my
the only
1.
thing left for you is number 1. So I think
And you know what my favorite hidden gem is.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I've mentioned it before.
So it's going to be a difference of whether or not you included what I have included. So I am going to tell you that my number 2 is Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Correct.
Okay. So the whole thing
That is my number 1.
hidden gem.
Okay.
All right, good. So we can tag team this. Even though
Yeah.
it's-
And
so-
and honestly, the reason that came up for me is I asked my family, I'm like, what do you think's a hidden gem? I mean, I already had my list done. I rearranged a little bit, but they were like the drawing class at Rafiki's Planet Watch. And then they were like, no, Planet Watch. And then, so go ahead and you can tell me your favorites because I know you haven't done this.
So I
piece
have
of it.
not done the drawing class.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is that it is like you might as well be backstage, right?
Yeah.
You get on a train.
You get to see backstage.
You get on a train. They take you past like where they take care of the animals, whether, possibly if they're sick or whatever. So you go by those areas. Then you end up in this place. You're like, where in the heck am I?
Mm-hmm.
It's like out in the middle of nowhere. You feel like you get off the train, and there you're at Rafiki's Planet Watch. You got to walk a little bit, and all of a sudden it opens up, and you've got a petting zoo. You've got that where the drawing class happens, that building.
Yeah, there's also they have little classes like almost like veterinary type classes in there.
Yeah, and they do little demonstrations, and there's a lot of cool animals in there that they have presentations on, or they have like the placards. So there's like some fish there, and stuff that maybe isn't something you would necessarily see out on the savannah, or things that maybe it's not safe for them to put out on a savannah. So I think there's some reptiles in there, I believe. But and sometimes you get to meet Rafiki out there.
Yep, we have a photo of our kids. We came out of the drawing class, and there's Rafiki standing there with one of those I don't know, it's like almost like a jungle backdrop.
Yeah.
and you just walk. There was just like this random line with like 2 other people in line.
It's never packed back
No,
there.
and
It's crazy.
And we got a nice meet and greet with Rafiki. The kids loved it.
Yeah, I think if people understood how cool this is, and this is why I was a little bit skeptical to do this, but then I remembered, that's okay. We don't have enough listeners to all of a sudden make these places packed. So it's hidden still, even when we talk about it. But Rafiki's Planet Watch is phenomenal.
It is.
Even just taking a little train ride to see backstage,
Everything about it.
I could do that and then get back in line and go back, and I would be happy.
Yep.
But do yourself a favor. Go to the petting zoo, relax. You don't feel like you're at Disney. It feels like you're in like a hometown park.
Yeah.
Right? Like a little tiny part of your zoo or something.
Mm-hmm.
You go in that room where they do the drawing and the vet classes or the talks and whatnot. You walk around there, look at everything, and then usually you can end up seeing Rafiki. It's so cool. It's so cool. I love it back there. And that's why it's number 2 on mine. So why don't you give us a more specific talk about why it's your number 1?
So we're all art people in our family. We love to draw. It's always been kind of part of all of our lives, including my kids.
It's literally your job.
Yes, true. And both of my kids love to draw too. It's a lot of fun. So when we learned that there were drawing classes, we were very open to it. Say, yeah, let's check it out. And then we find out they're run by Disney animators.
That's so cool.
A Disney animator, and the few times we've done it, always have a different animator. And you have to look up what times there is. It's all in the My Disney Experience app. And you look up what time they're doing the animation classes. And I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I would guess it's maybe 1 an hour. That's just a guess. And you show up. You want to arrive a little bit beforehand. So I would recommend you at least get there 10, 15 minutes early. And the worst thing about it is you're standing in air conditioning. So that's not a bad thing at all. So you go into the building at Rafiki's Planet Watch. You walk in and you kind of go straight ahead and off to the left a little bit. And that'll be kind of like the waiting area. It's not really a queue. They kind of corral people in and say, if you're interested in doing the animation class, come back here. It's not really an animation class. It's just a drawing class. But so then you go back there and they give you like a drawing board. They give you a piece of paper, and on that paper, they give you like light templates. So what that means is there'll be like a really light gray circle or like a plus or an X, and that kind of becomes your guide for as you draw over top of it, depending on which character you get. We had Crush the Turtle one time. We had Bambi one time. I can't remember what other one we had. We've done it 3 times. And one trip we actually did it, and then we changed our reservation to go back again so we could do the drawing class again because we had so much fun doing it. And you don't have to be good at art. You don't have to be a pro. I mean, we're always trying to, do the best we can and trying to, do what the animator's doing. But there's so many people there that are just learners that these animators make it so it's doable for everybody. And it's funny because what the animator does is literally what I do every day for a living. They draw, and then they have a little camera. They call it an Elmo camera that kind of is a camera pointing down to what is being drawn. So that's what I do every day is so everybody who's there sits in this.
You don't want to say Elmo? Nobody. You said it once, and I was like, nobody knows what you're talking about, Rob.
Well, it's a camera that points straight down.
It's the today's version of an overhead projector.
Correct. So as the animator draws, we see up on these big screens. I think there's multiple. You draw along with the animator. It doesn't go too fast. Okay, let's start with a circle. Let's draw in the eyes. Let's draw the mouth. Okay, erase this line because we have to do this. And then he lets you add in little, embellishments and things at the end. But we love doing it. It's so, so cool. You learn something. You're having fun. You're cooling off. And if you really think about it, a lot of people, and this is totally false, will say, Animal Kingdom's a half-day park. Well, there's so many good things to do that people don't know about that aren't thrill rides.
So here's why I know I'm going to do this year.
Sure.
We have made our park reservations, and we put 2 days at Animal Kingdom.
Great. And you should do it both days.
Partially because at the time that we made our park reservations, we weren't sure if we were going to be staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge or at Bay Lake.
Oh, right.
But we did not change it because I was like, we have Hopper. We can go over there, do our thing, go back, and we can go over to Magic Kingdom or Epcot or even Hollywood Studios. but Magic Kingdom and Epcot by hopping on the monorail, obviously. I know for a fact, because I know my kids, this is going to be a highlight of this trip. They love those directed draw things, and they love Disney. So, I mean, I would say once a week, my daughter turns one on YouTube and sits at her desk and draws it. Whether it's Stitch or if it's, Mickey. Usually it's like she likes Stitch and Lilo, and she loves that movie. Sometimes Ariel. But usually it's one of those. I know they're going to have a good time, and I'm excited for it. I do want to tell you something really good news, which I did not know about.
Sure.
They have a lightning lane for this.
Really?
Which I did not know that this had a lightning lane.
Huh.
Which also brings me to
how does
another
that
thing.
work? They just bring you to the front of the line in that queue?
I don't understand how that works. It does.
I guess. Because they corral you all in this big area.
Yeah.
And they do a count.
They recommend, when you go into that, so it's called the Animation Experience at Conservation Station. When you go there, Disney's own app basically says, please board the Wildlife Express train to Rafiki's Planet Watch 40 minutes prior to the experience start time.
Yeah, and that would make sense because the train ride is a little long, but not in a bad way.
No.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah, and it says each
nice
25
breeze.
Yeah,
because it's an open air train.
Right. Yeah. Each 25-minute experience or minute class will offer something different. Featured characters change periodically, so you can keep adding to your art collection. I am actually really stoked to do this.
It's
summer
fun
because we've always felt. So the first time we went to Planet Watch, we did not do it because I don't even know why, but we were doing. It was we were doing. I don't even know if we knew that it was a thing, right? And we saw people doing it. But I don't think we knew it was a thing that year. And that was the year that we were like, we're going to do everything because we're only going once. And so in order to only shout out to Brian.
Yeah. Brian, you're going more than once.
So basically what ends up happening is I don't want to do it because, it's going to take so long. We have to get everything done. And flash forward now, we're DVC owners and we know we're coming back. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do that experience because I don't know if it's going to be there next year. You never know when something's going to go away. But I do know that, they're not tearing down Flight of Passage. They're not tearing down Naughty River. And if they did, I really wouldn't care because I don't like it. But, so for me, I'm going to take the time to do it. And I am stoked to do it. And I'm even happier to see that there's a lightning lane for it.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's pretty cool. And do yourself a favor, folks. Go onto the Disney app. Look at the map. And zoom out because you're going to have to find Rafiki or to find the Planet Watch area.
Northeast corner.
It's insanely far.
Yeah.
In
a good way.
Yeah, you would. That's what I'm saying. You get there and you're like, I'm in Disney still.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a cool little area.
Yep. So that's my number one, and I'm
number
glad
two.
it's your number two because I think after you get to do that animation class, you'll just be so happy.
Yeah.
So, what do you have for number one?
So my number one is something I've talked about quite a few times here. And it's a place to relax, and it is the garden in the England Pavilion, in the UK Pavilion. Back behind, there's the little gazebo there.
You love that place.
I love that place. I have never been back there with more than 5 people, and 4 of them have been with me. That's I'm telling you,
it is great. I'm dedicating myself to spend more time there next time too, just as a place to chill out.
So when we were staying at Beach Club, we spent a lot of time, and we had park hoppers, so we spent a lot of time in the evening going over to Food and Wine. And the joke around Disney vloggers and Disney Instagram people and Disney Twitter people is that the garbage cans at Epcot are tables. Right, because it's a constant festival, so everybody's around a garbage can eating, and it's kind of not kind of disgusting; it's straight up disgusting. That's where you're eating your food, especially if it's later in the day, because there's all that other garbage in there. But anyhow, I didn't do that. I got my food. When I was in the area where I could make that short, if it was a short enough walk, I would go to the UK Pavilion, go in back, sit down, and relax. I'd grab a beer over at the pub there or from one of the stands. Go back there, sit and relax. And there's many times there's music being played. There was a guy back there playing piano a couple times. Sometimes they're doing a meet and greet, or sometimes Alice will be walking out to go to her meet and greet spot.
We did that. That was fun.
So,
Our kids got their
yeah.
pictures. I enjoyed that.
Right, but where she's coming out of, the room she comes out of is back in that garden. So
so you have first dibs for photo
So
op.
she came out and was like walking through the garden, like skipping through the garden.
How amazing is that? You're
yeah.
just sitting with your kids, and then here's Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
a surprise.
I know I speak about this place all the time. Everybody has their one spot that like helps them relax and like is just like, okay, I can take a load off. That's mine. It's a great place, and I don't think that even if a lot of people knew about it, it's never going to get too crowded back there.
Is that the place they're potentially? Well, let me rewind. They've discussed potentially putting in an not Alice in Wonderland, Mary Poppins attraction,
like the cherry
tree
lane. Yeah.
Is that the area they were talking about putting it in, or
I don't know. I can't speak
because in between, I believe, in between UK Pavilion and Canadian Pavilion, is that the entrance to go back to the? I'm trying to think of the name of the space for it.
Show place.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know. I can't answer that question, but what I can say is I love this place, and I hope they don't ever take it away. It is a great spot. It is a hidden gem. It is back behind the building where you're not going to be seen really. You're just going to sit back there, enjoy a cold beer, enjoy some food from one of the festivals, possibly see Alice walk by, possibly see Mary Poppins walk by, listen to a gentleman play piano possibly. It's just a really cool spot. I love it.
Well, I like that both of our number ones are something that just means a ton to us.
Yeah, I love that spot.
Yeah, that's great.
So this is the part where it gets real difficult.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to list like everything.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on each one, and I'm not gonna do. I mean, I probably could have put 20 different things here.
Yeah, I've got more than a few honorable mentions here.
So I'll blast through a couple of them.
Okay.
I don't even know if this exists anymore, but meeting Chewie, that was something that was kind of hidden back in the launch bay. Mm-hmm. That I enjoyed. This is kind of a weird one. It doesn't really match anything else, but I love going to Toy Story Land and looking at all the toy references for like the 40 and over crowd, like the Lincoln Logs and all those things, those toys
just
from
walking through the land.
Yeah, the 70s and early 80s, all those toys are there.
Yeah, it's like an Easter egg hunt back there.
I don't know if this really counted or not, but I think this is kind of a gem, is the back entrance at Epcot. Like it's kind of a hidden gem. Like most people just come to the main entrance and don't know it's there.
Well,
it's
because really the only way you use that entrance is if you're staying at Beach Club, Boardwalk, or one of the Boardwalk area resorts.
But it's a nice...
Unless you have a breakfast somewhere and you can go.
And I found out recently that the only other park in the U.S. that has something like that is California Adventure has 3 entrances.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. And there's 2 adjacent hotels.
Yeah, I knew that.
And each hotel separately has entrances. One is back by Pixar Pier. The other is over by Soarin' and the Grizzly to go into the Grand Californian. Just learned that too. Anyway, that was just a couple quick ones. I didn't want to spend too much time. Do you have a few you want to share?
Yeah. So this is going to be, I have to say this because I cannot believe the person who told me that this was a hidden gem. There is kind of an impromptu parrot show that happens at Animal Kingdom. Yeah. And my wife said it. And we have talked on this show before about how she hates birds. So the fact that she said that, I just thought was amazing. And then it was still over there at Animal Kingdom. I feel like it's not really a hidden gem, but it's a cool spot to hang out, is the Dawa Bar. I've mentioned that before. Oh yeah, we had a great time there. Yeah, because you just get a beer, watch the shows, and then you can also sit there waiting for your table to Tusker House. This is one that I think was awesome that my son brought up, and that was the decks off of Teppan Edo.
Oh yeah, we had a nice family photo there.
He said, "Well, it's a great spot. You can stand there, you can see everything, and like there's good pictures. That's where I like
get one of the best photos there too."
Yeah, so I thought that was cool that he thought of that. The next 2 that I want to bring up next 3 I want to bring up are resort specific. So if you're staying at the Poly, there is a grilling station that's kind of like set off in the middle, right in the middle.
Yeah.
And like no one's ever there, and they're like nice, high quality grills.
And if you look up, there's owls in the trees.
Yeah, right. Isn't it? It's crazy. So if you made a Publix run, you could definitely grill out and have like a cool little barbecue with your family.
Cool
it's
idea.
A good way to save some money, and no one is ever using them. Ever.
No.
I've never seen anyone
No.
use them, and I don't know why. Because they're clean. I've opened it up and looked, and they're clean. They're not like bad like state park grills where you better put like
Yeah, you have to scrape the rust off of them.
Yeah. So that's over at the Poly. And then Sanaa is the reason it didn't make my list is because it's getting less and less of a hidden gem. But
Yeah.
Sanaa over at Animal Kingdom Lodge, specifically in Kidani Village, they have a dining that not overlooks, it's on the ground level that looks out into the savannah. So that's a cool spot. Used to be a true hidden gem. More people are onto it now. And then lastly, for stuff that's resort specific, there's a pool room, like a billiards room at Beach Club. At the Beach Club Villas, there's a billiards room that most people don't hang out in. You go in there. There's a pool table. There's a big, huge TV that is hooked up to DirecTV or cable or whatever they use down there. But if there's a game on or whatever, you can watch the game and it's air conditioned and play some pool. And your kids could be out at the quiet pool, the DVC pool, if you will, back there. So those three are there. There's a ton of other ones. Like I feel like Jungle Skipper is kind of a hidden gem, but I do think it's harder and harder to get in. But I think like people sleep on the food there.
Yeah.
I think the photo pass on the backside of the castle, like with it's either the stepsisters or the fairy godmothers back there sometimes. Like that's a great spot.
Oh, speaking of photos, here's a hidden gem: is asking for photo magic, where they they can put a little character on your hand, or that's kind of a nice hidden gem if you ask. So what you do is, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm ready to wrap up here.
Yeah.
But if you go to a photo pass photographer, say, do you have any magic shots? So what they'll do is they have someone later on Photoshop in Figment or Lumiere when you're in France, or
it's awesome.
Yeah. So remember that. It's a little tip for everybody.
Because sometimes they don't ask you. Sometimes they'll just say, "Hey, we're gonna do a special shot here," but almost all of them have one. So yeah, great job. But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.